Hi, in this tutorial, we're going to be going over operations with radicals. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to add and subtract radicals, how to multiply radical expressions with more than one term, and how to multiply conjugates. So square roots with the same radicand are like radicals. So here is an example of like radicals. We have 7 times the square root of 2 and 5 times the square root of 2. But because both of them share the square root of 2, they are like radicals. Now, like radicals can be added or subtracted using the distributive property. And in some cases, radicals can be combined once they have been simplified. So let's do an example. Let's add 7 square root of 2 plus 9 square root of 2. So by factoring, we get 7 plus 9 times the square root of 2. So 7 plus 9 is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 square root of 2. So now let's subtract 6 square root of 8 minus the square root of 2. Well, we can break down the square root of 8 into the square root of 4 times 2 minus the square root of 2. So this gives us the square root of 4 times the square root of 2 minus the square root of 2. Well, the square root of 2, the square root of 4 is 2, so we get 6 times 2, the square root of 2 minus the square root of 2. 6 times 2 is 12, the square root of 2 minus the square root of 2. The square root of 2 minus, this would be like a 1 here, the square root of 2 gives us 11, the square root of 2. So that's our answer. Now, radical expressions are simplified in much the same way that polynomials with more than one term are multiplied. So let's do an example. Let's multiply 5 times the square root of 2 plus the square root of 5. So now we're just going to distribute this so that we get 5 times the square root of 2 plus 5 times the square root of 5. So that's our answer. So now let's multiply 2 plus the square root of 3 times 4 plus the square root of 5. So what we're going to do is use the FOIL method. So here we have 2 times 4 is 8 plus 2 times 5 times the square root of 3 is 10 square root of 3 plus 4 times the square root of 3 plus 3 square root of 3 times 5 square root of 3 gives us 5 square root of 3 times square root of 3. So now we can simplify this into 8 plus 14 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 9. And we know the square root of 9 is 3. So we can simplify this even further into square root of 3 plus 5 times 3, which gives us 8 plus 14 square root of 3 plus 15. So that's our answer. So conjugates are radical expressions that involve the sum and difference of the same two terms. So here's how to multiply conjugates. You're going to use the special products rule, a plus b times a minus b equals a squared minus b squared. So let's do an example. Here we have the square root of 11 plus 5 times this. This should be the square root. The square root of 11 minus 5. So all that is the square root of 11 squared minus 5 squared. So this gives us 11. The square root of 11 squared is 11 minus 5 squared is 25, which gives us 14. So in this tutorial, you learn how to add and subtract radicals, how to multiply radical expressions with more than one term, and how to multiply conjugates. So now try and solve problems in our Operations with Radicals workbook. For more help, sign up for online tutoring. And in the next tutorial, we're going to be going over rationalizing the denominator. Thank you.